Everyone's obsessed with the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Russia, China, many other countries are all kind of looking at. What are you seeing at the nation state level? I know that you guys have looked at various sites around the world. Just talk a little bit as to like, how do you evaluate who's real, who's not, who's talking, and who's actually acting?
If countries are moving to own lots of Bitcoin and trade in Bitcoin, the U.S. has to have a lot of Bitcoin. The U.S. also has to build a very big strategic reserve of Bitcoin, because we have a strategic oil reserve not because we're short of oil in this country. We have lots of gold in Fort Knox, not because the dollar's backed by gold. We have gold in Fort Knox, so if there's an attack on the dollar, the U.S. government has a way to defend the dollar. We have a strategic petroleum reserve, so the government can control the price of oil. So we need a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Other countries know we know that. They know it, and they're starting to buy.
G'day guys, welcome to the Tuesday show. So that was Fred Teal being interviewed by Anthony Pumpliano. You should really go and check that out on his X account and also on his YouTube channel where he's got the full interview. They cover heaps of stuff. AI versus Bitcoin mining, gold versus Bitcoin. But it's a real snapshot that gives you a really good view of sort of why you should be bullish on Bitcoin and on the market as a whole, right? He's the CEO and chairman of Mara Holdings, previously Marathon. Predominantly owned by like BlackRock, is one of the big holders in that company. They are the biggest by market cap and they're the biggest miner by hash rate as well, I believe. So, good reason to be bullish. Let's go on to the next thing, which is the International Monetary Fund loan with El Salvador.
Let me say that I can confirm that they continue to comply with their commitment of non-accumulation of Bitcoin by the overall fiscal sector, which is the performance criteria.
Okay, so we know that El Salvador are one of the early adopters of Bitcoin, right? They brought in as legal tender along with the US dollar. That was a few years ago now. They were buying 1 Bitcoin a day. So they then need to get a loan from the IMF, $1.4 billion. As part of that loan, though, they had to stop buying Bitcoin with public funds, I guess is the best way to put it. Now, since December, when they got that loan, they have acquired another 159 Bitcoin. They now hold over 6,100 and something Bitcoin, valued at like $538 million. So reasonable amount of Bitcoin they hold. But they have continued to acquire it purely through, let's call it a loophole in the contract, which allowed them to buy it through trusts or through state-controlled independent funds. Okay, so that allowed them to get the loan, but also remain Bitcoin friendly, if you know what I mean. In other news though, now we can move on to Arizona. Big news down in Arizona. So we can see in Arizona that the Arizona state approves first ever US Bitcoin reserve, set to invest 10% of 31.5 billion state assets. So the state of Arizona took a major step towards public Bitcoin adoption in the US as lawmakers passed 2 bills enabling direct investment of public funds in digital assets. Lawmakers in the House of Representatives on Monday approved Senate Bill 1025 and Senate Bill 1373, clearing the way for potentially 10% allocation of Treasury and pension funds into Bitcoin and other digital assets. Now, we've seen a few states moving down this road lately. Obviously haven't passed anything yet, the other state, but we are starting to hear over the last few weeks, especially at some other states that are also looking into this. Arizona's total public assets under management are substantial. As of 2023, the state treasury oversaw more than 31.4 billion in assets, according to official data. 10% allocation would obviously be 3.14 billion in digital assets, including Bitcoin and NFTs. If they fully deployed, a 3.14 billion Bitcoin reserve would acquire about 31,000 BTC. That would immediately make Arizona the second largest institutional Bitcoin holder among US public entities, exceeding the holdings of corporate holders like Tesla and Marathon Digital, which is, as we mentioned earlier, is the largest Bitcoin mining firm. Obviously, they'll be behind MicroStrategy. look, that's definitely going to bolster investor confidence, and it's really going to improve the market credibility, right? This is really a diversification play. It's an inflationary hedge is what they're doing here, like you do with gold, right? So with more states getting involved and getting Bitcoin reserves, we're going to see regulation improving, getting on board a lot quicker, which is just going to be better for the industry as a whole. It's going to be better for investors. It's just bullish for the whole market and industry as we move forward, right? So I feel like there's a lot to look forward to. We've still got a lot of this bull run to play out over the remainder of this year, I still feel. You got people calling for some obscene numbers. Michael Saylor, 10 million obviously wasn't this cycle, but some obscene numbers for this cycle, 200, 300, 500,000. I'm still in that 150 sort of range at the moment, maybe 190 off some charts, but there's plenty of people out there that are really bullish on Bitcoin for this cycle. Like, let's listen to Peter Chung. He's the head of research for Presto, and hear what he thinks.
So Bitcoin target price remains 210,000 and driven by institutional adoption and global liquidity expansion. For ETH, our target price was based on ETH to BTC, the BTC to ETH ratio, which was 0.05. We still maintain that as well, reflecting the community's efforts to address value leakage problem. Granted, not everything turned out the way we expected so far this year, especially the macro outlook and the market reaction to it. But I think in hindsight, I think it was actually a healthy correction, which have paved the way for the further re-rating of the Bitcoin as a mainstream asset.
Okay, so after hearing that, how can you not be bullish? He's one of many, that have those thoughts. Obviously, there's no guarantees in life. We could have already seen the peak. The peak could have been January at 108K. I don't think so, but it could definitely have been that. I'm no financial advisor, so let's take a look at the crypto domain indicator dashboard for the day. Okay, so looking at the key indicators, we can see we've got Bitcoin dominance remaining stable with ETH. We can see the market cap has dropped, but only marginally. Again, it's still pretty flat. We see volume up. Again, we've gone through the weekend. We're seeing that bit more volume coming through. Monthly returns is up slightly on yesterday. I think it was like 10.3 yesterday. Again, we're still seeing a mix of green and red in the top 5 altcoins, or 4 altcoins and Bitcoin. Fear and greed is at 60, so it's moved up slightly from yesterday, where it was 54. Overall, the key indicators that we look at are relatively flat to minor improvements up, but again, nothing to write home about. And we've also got the Coinbase app moving up from the 350s to 330 today, which is good to see. Okay, let's have a look at the top 100. So we can see trending. You got Virtual Protocol and AI16Z, which is AI agent, I believe. The Virtual Protocol is a metaverse infrastructure. We got Bitcoin up 0.1 on the day, up 7% on the week. You got Ethereum down 0.1, but it's up 13.6% on the week. What else have we got moving here? Bitcoin Cash 4.7. Any other big movers? There's Render. So AI again, that's 4% up. It's only 2.4 on the week though. I don't feel like that's jumped on the AI move over the last few weeks as much as some of the others have. What else have we got here? Say at 4.8%. Virtuals, which we mentioned just before, that's at 27.8 for the day. It's 156.4 for the week. So, that's a big move. All right, let's take a look at the crypto bubbles. Okay, the top 100. As I said, I like this one. It just gives you a different view for anything you may have missed. Like they're like Monero, so that's down. That had that was up yesterday, so it's pulled back a bit. Not as much as it went up though. You've got Layer over here, so that's like I think it's like a Solana Layer 2 type thing to speed up what is already a fast network. You got Nexo there, so that's a lending platform. You got Floki, obviously, a meme token. IP, so that's that L1 designed on-ramp IP. You've got Dot, Render. I'm wondering if we'll see much out of Dot. Like, they'd had a pretty good run. It was sort of side-by-side last run with Cardano for a lot of the run. Got up to somewhere like $50. What are we sitting at the moment? $4.27. So that's, that's got a lot of ground to make up if it's going to get anywhere near that. I'm assuming that obviously we've had a release of tokens and things like that over the last 4 years. But there's Pi. Let's have a look at the 100, 200. So we've got, what do we got? We've got Mocha. So that's a chain agnostic digital identity thing. And we seem to be that digital identity stuff floating around. Dash. That's from like 2014 or something. It's like, digital money, Dash Cash. AI16Z, right? So that's mentioned earlier. That's the AI agents thing. Safe's a multi-sig wallet. A cache is like cloud computing. Popcat's down a bit. Where are some other memes? There you go. Brett's down. Whiff's down. Okay, guys, we'll leave it there for today. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Really, just remember, everything we talk about is time sensitive. We know how quickly these markets do move. I'm definitely not a financial advisor. Check out our Block to Basics series if you're new to crypto. It's got some really good information and some really good learner videos in there just to sort of get you up to speed with terminology, how the blockchain works. It's got a few tokens in there, sort of a broad overview of those projects and that, but really useful information. So thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.